With this video, let's start looking into more advanced PineScript plotting functions, the ones that produce objects. In this video, let's look at line objects in PineScript. And idea is that these functions are a bit more complicated to use, but you can do more advanced stuff. So basically, they're just more flexible. So let's start with plotting lines. So to plot a simple line in PineScript, you can use line.new function. And it's quite easy to use it. So first you have just pass basically coordinates of a line. So you have 2 points, so x1, and you can provide, for example, like some bar index. And when I use here offset, it will basically look into the past for 25 bars and start my line there. You have produced y1, basically a price at which I want to plot this line, and I have to provide also like the index in this case, and close price for the second point as well. And also here, for example, specify my color. And let's edit the chart to see how it works. And as you can see, it seems to work. What is happening is that for every bar, PineScript call this function, and it will plot like a line from the close of the current candle to like the bar that is like 25 bars ago. So this is why you see these kind of lines. If you, for example, want to plot your lines only for the last bars, you can use this if bar state is last. Built-in variables to check that this bar is actually the last one, and after that you can plot your lines. So let's save it and see how it works. This way it will be just a bit easier and just cleaner to understand how this works. So here, as you can see, I'm using like historical operator to go back in time and plot my line to the past. But also what you can do is you can use like plus bar index and plus, and you can add up to 500 bars and plot your lines into the future. And these green lines actually plotted into the future. So as you can see, it works quite fine. Now let's look at other kind of features of lines in PineScript. So next is interesting thing is that actually you can use not like the bar index for your x coordinate, but you can actually use like a time. If you know exact time of your line from which to which you do want to plot your lines, you can use time, no problem at all. So here, for example, I have an example when I use time. To use time, you have to specify this parameter xlog, and here you can specify that I want to use xlog bar time, and after that, instead of your like coordinates, you have to pass your time. So here, what I do here is basically I just compute like delta between bars. So basically how much like milliseconds is in one my bar, and after that I just subtract it from the current time to receive like the date I want to plot it from. So as you can see, it's quite simple. Let's save it to see if it works properly for us. As you can see, it seems to work. And also with this same kind of approach, what you can do is you can actually plot into the future as well. So you can just use like current time and add some time you want to, but you have to make sure that this actually is a real bar. If that's not a bar in the future, it won't be plotted this way. So make sure that it works. And as you can see, it works quite nicely with like time as x coordinate as well. There are a few styles of lines in PineScript, and let's check all of them. So here I created a like small like code, and I basically will display all possible lines. And you have 6 kind of styles of lines. Here you can see solid, dotted, dashed, arrow left, arrow right, and arrow both. So it's quite easy. Let's save it, and here you can see you have all these types of lines. And also what I added is another parameter for some of them. It's extend, and here you have like 4 choices for extend. You can decide not to extend your line into any direction. You can use extend both, or you can extend left or extend right. So as you can see, quite simple, and you have quite different types of lines. If you want to change like a width of your line, you can use width parameter to set width of your line in pixels. So it's quite easy as well. Now let's look at why these kind of methods are more interesting than kind of usual like plotting functionality of PineScript. So as I told you, these actually are objects. And what is happening when you like the call line new function is that new object of type line is created. And after that you can work somehow with this object. You actually can store it, you can modify it, you can delete it if you want. And here I have kind of one real kind of life example. So this is a very simple code for like calculate pivot points, and after that I just want to plot pivot points from every pivot point to the next one. So as you can see, it's quite like idea is quite simple, but to do that I do following things. So first of all, I just compute my pivot points. This is not like very interesting part, but here after that I use like line new function to plot like pivot low and pivot high levels. And here I basically just compute the point of pivot point, basically the bar of pivot point, and I just use like a right bar as an offset for amount of bars I need to confirm it, and I just plot it like that. And what I'm doing here is that if I don't have like a pivot point for the current bar, I will delete my line. And I need that just to make sure that I don't have like overlapping lines. So every time I see like new line, I will delete old one if that's not a pivot point. If it will be a pivot point, I will create a new line. So it's kind of logical. And what I do here is I use like line.delete function, and I use my line high variable that stores my line objects, and I basically just delete previous one. As you can see, it's quite easy to do, and I have the same for like for low level as well. So let's save it and see how it works. And as you can see, it works quite nicely. So for example, here I have like pivot high, and this from this pivot high I have like a level, and it's actually is plotted to the bar when we have like new pivot high, and so on. So it's, as you can see, it seems to work nicely. Depend on your task. You will probably need a bit more complex logic of deletion of your lines, but I think it's quite doable. It's not so complicated. Also, because it's actually like an object, what you can do, you actually can, after you actually plotted the line, you can work with it. So there are a bunch of functions that allow you to get some information from your line. So for example, you can use this like get x1, get x2, get y1, get y2 functions to get your current coordinates of your function. And also you can, after that, you can use line.set set of functions to update this information kind of on the go. And you can, for example, here you can see I got my like points, and after that I updated it as I wanted. Also, you have a function set xy1, set xy2, so you can at once you can update both x and y coordinate quite easily. And also you have like line.setColor function to change color, set width, change width, set extent, and set style. To basically can update all information, like all parameters of your lines, no problem at all. And even you can actually change the way you display your line, so you can go and change it from like using like bar index to using time index. You just need to call line.setXlog function, specify your line, and just to update y and x coordinates, x1, x2 coordinates, and also you have to express that you want to use xlog bar in bar time parameter this time. And last pretty interesting function, not function, but like built-in variable you have for your lines is actually line.all built-in variable. So this built-in variable actually stores like array already pre-coded for you, kind of already computed for you with all the lines you plotted in the current session. And actually you can look at this array as a normal array. You can kind of work with this normal array, and you actually can even delete like lines from this array and lines will disappear from your chart completely. And also you can go through it, you can edit any elements you want and so on. So it's actually quite useful. So here I have like a simple code, for example, that just goes through like all this line all array as like an usual array. As you can see, I'm using array.size, and I will just go and use like line delete to delete all my objects. And after that, I won't have any lines on my charts at all. So as you can see, I saved it, and as you can see, we don't have any lines at all. So it seems to work fine. These object plotting functions in PineScript can be confusing at first, but with experience you'll see that actually they're very powerful, and you just need like some skills to work with them to create really amazing like looking indicators, and indicators that have really advanced plotting and graphics.